Welcome back to another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement, where today I sit down and talk with Jamie from Miniocalypse, an upcoming YouTube channel that you should be checking out. Stick around, we have a great conversation. Thank you, Jamie, for joining me today in the Murder Basement. Today I'm sitting down with Jamie from Miniocalypse, a fellow YouTube creator. We are both in the YouTube Brain Trust, and him and I have hit it off in multiple conversations in there. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Heath, man, that's no problem. I'm super pumped to be part of this, bro. Like, this means a lot to me, man.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that YouTube group has turned into like even though maybe I don't use it the same way you or a lot of you do, it seems like there's like probably 10 people who are super active in doing like the monthly challenges and stuff. And even though that isn't maybe my main focus, it's cool being in a group with like-minded people who are super motivated, who are amazingly talented, and I think are going to be continuing to educate and entertain future generations of YouTube followers, because it seems like there is no depth, no end to the amazing amount of ideas that you guys are coming up with on there.
Yeah, for me, it's like almost like a second home. As crazy as it sounds, I don't got too many friends and stuff in real life, outside of work and whatnot. So being able to connect with people that are doing the same thing that I found myself doing and are there to answer basically any question I have, like filming, sound, editing, 3D printing, I mean, marketing. It's like everybody there is either a professional in some field or the other, or extreme hobbyist, and it's more than I even thought existed.
I'm like, I was as soon as Casey invited me to it, because I had been messaging him, and he's like, dude, you'll love this group. Like, seriously, like, you got a lot of questions and you're starting right at the beginning. This is the right place to put you. And just like, I haven't been the super loudest as like asking questions, but just reading what you guys are posting and going back and forth, I've gleaned so much information, and just seeing how everybody has developed their own voice is really exciting. And I wasn't expecting it to be something like that. Like, I knew if Casey was in it, it would be good, but I didn't realize that it's just like, nope, this is the work. This is what we're doing, and I think that really works out in the long run. So it's been really cool. So how long have you been doing YouTube videos?
YouTube videos. I think, I honestly don't remember what date my first one was. I could look it up, but I'm not going to.
Sure.
But I know I started painting around November of 2019, so it wasn't long after that I figured, once I started watching some videos, I'm like, hey, I wonder if my iPhone can record this. So I just went at it. In my early videos, they're pretty, I'm all over the place, but I don't know.
You've only been painting for like 6 months?
Yeah.
Holy shit, how did that happen? Like, you didn't do like miniatures and hobby stuff before like your YouTube channel just about?
I've had tons of I've had miniatures before, because I played Dungeons and Dragons like most of my life, but no, I've never painted them. I'm pretty crafty, and I have a little bit of I wouldn't say art background, but I was in the high school advanced art classes and what have you. Woo. But I'm just super creative, and actually, I got them right here. I always wanted to paint miniatures, and one day I was just in a dollar store and I come across like this pack of skeletons for $1.
Awesome.
And I was like, let me go grab some craft paints and hell with it. Painted up a batch of them and was like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. So I just went to YouTube, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's there's a boatload of information on here, and it just sucked me right in, man, like a big old black hole. Just ah.
That's wild, man. From watching your videos, I would have guessed that you have been painting miniatures for a lot longer because, you're using like advanced techniques in your videos that, like I have friends who've been painting for, 10, 15 years and they like won't even try them. And I'm just like, seriously, just try them. Like the advanced techniques are no harder than the beginner techniques. They're just another thing that you have to learn.
Right.
And to see you doing that like right off the bat is really exciting actually.
Well, like I was saying, is it's like the same techniques for the most part you'd use in 2D painting and artwork and everything, or painting a clay sculpture or whatever you've done in high school or something. So for me, it was just putting the brush to the 3D model and seeing that happen. And once it, like a wash, once I finally did a wash and just was like, boom. And I was like, oh, that just clicked. I can do this. And then what's a dry brush? Oh shoot, I've done this before. Just had to put it to practice, and it all just kind of started clicking. I still struggle with like glazes and tinting and all that other stuff. I just call it what I call it and do what I do.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that those techniques are so dependent on like paint brand and like the execution of like where it's at. Like I can glaze all day long, but just like getting it to actually like have that pop, like sometimes the effort isn't worth the amount of time that I put into it.
That's my problem. I can't help but put a ton of time into it. I sure I could whip one out in like a 3-step process, but for me, it's just not satisfying. I got to be putting like 18 or more hours into a mini so I can. It for me feels good when I look at it. I don't know why that is, but it's it's also killing me as far as videos go.
Yeah, well, I mean, you put out a remarkable amount of content for putting that much time into it, and especially being that new. So, like, how did oh, I found this new thing turn into I'm going to put out YouTube tutorials of it? Because like, it's one thing to learn one hobby, but like doing YouTube is a whole nother hobby all on top of it. And you'll find out now with your new 3D printer that 3D printing is a whole new hobby on top of it. And I find that my brain doesn't wrap its around multiple hard topics at a time. Until I get really familiar and comfortable with it, I kind of have to do one or the other, not both.
Yeah, all the research I did about being a YouTuber was clearly not enough. I mean, I'm still in it to win it, but there are days where it's like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm like, what did I do here? I turned something I like. The main reason I got into it was because the wife was like, you need to find something to do because you're depressed, your anxiety. I have PTSD, and
Mm,
you know, there's a lot of days where it's terrible.
sure.
And so, other than fishing, miniature painting, it keeps me on the right levels. So, I just was super enjoying that. But to answer the YouTube question, I've for years wanted to do something with YouTube, whether it was like I debated doing a fishing channel for a while, I debated doing a welding channel for a while, and when I saw this, and like I said, that day that the painting just clicked, and I was like, you know what? I mean, and no offense to any of the super good painters out there, but I felt like, hey, I can paint as good as these guys as soon as I figure it out. And I want to film that process from me being a noob to me being a quote unquote pro.
Sure, sure. Well, have you had a chance? I mean, I know that so if you're saying like at the end of the year you started painting and started making videos, you haven't probably had a chance to see like high-end competition pieces or something in person, have you?
No, not in person. I was going to Adepticon, and then, well, we all know how that ended up.
Yeah,
But
dude, such a bummer.
I plan on going to Gen Con since it's like 2 hours from me. I live in
Uh-huh.
Indiana, so maybe I'll get to see some work there. I'm not sure how much miniature stuff is there. I've never been to any of the conventions or nothing, even though I've been a nerd my whole life.
So Gen Con I hear is actually pretty good, and they have a decent miniature painting thing. You will have to go up against Vince Venturella, and like while I would use that as an excuse to like meet him, like I think I would go in and be like, yeah, I'm not gonna win. Just let me talk to that dude over there.
Right. I don't plan on competing or nothing, just going, but uh, following the next round of stuff, I, I might give it a shot. It's really the only way to know. The only way to know.
Dude, I actually push people to compete like early and often. Like and I know that it's a little antithetical to like you have to get good before you go out. Part of what I found while I was learning, because I've only actually like I my Facebook memory this morning was the first mini I painted, and it was 2 years ago to the date. So I started painting minis 2 years ago, and I instantly started like sharing my stuff in groups and like getting some harsh unwarranted criticism, but also some really good advice from people who'd been doing it for a long time, people who've won awards, and started trying to get my stuff to like in front of people who were better than me, just so I could get a little bit of feedback. And I have found that that has been, while anxiety ridden, sure, the benefit of being able to play in a pool with people much better than me has made me a better painter, because I got to see like some of Chris Surrey's pieces, and I don't know if you're familiar with his artwork, but his pieces are absolutely incredible. But after looking at them and kind of studying them in person, I was like, this is just paint on plastic. I can put paint on plastic. I can do this. This isn't
Exactly.
magic. This there's science, there's technique, there's artistry and skill. Like I can learn these things and I can get better. And instead of being like demoralized, I like walked out like emboldened, and like seeing those things. Like I would highly recommend challenging yourself. You got a little bit of time before Gen Con. Like just throw something together, and
Yeah.
if Gen Con actually happens, like I think that would be a really good thing for you to just experience it, and having like a judge give you just some nice feedback is one of the most like humbling but also like affirming aspects of the hobby that I've stumbled on.
Yeah, that's for me the main reason I've been, was thinking about it because, well, there's the one goal I have at least. Like when I started doing this, I told you before I wanted to attempt to win some type of Golden Demon Award on craft paints, bro. But
It's
I
amazing.
believe humans can only learn by failure. Yeah, there's plenty other ways you can read books and whatnot, but when you fail at something and somebody criticizes your stuff, then you really learn, you really know. And so for me, like going and having a judge or all these other guys just nitpick the hell out of it and letting me know what it is, I'm not. It's not me. I'm not going to come home destroyed. I'm going to be like, all right, this needs fixed. This needs fixed. This needs fixed. I'm going to take all those things, add it into my toolkit, and then still do what I'm doing, but keep those in mind. I'm not going to change 100%, but I'll know more of what that type of level of stuff is looking for.
Sure, sure. Well, it's when I watched your 3 color video where you used craft paints to paint the squigs, and watched like the work that you did on that,
Oh
like
my,
I was like, oh my god. The first off, my like brain was like, why did he do that to himself? And it
yeah,
looks
there's like
great.
fucking. Sorry for cursing. That's not me
It's
normally,
all
but
right. It's all right.
there was like 30 plus, I think 36 plus hours in just. I spent 3 days layering the yellow in,
Oh
and
my
I
god.
thought it would show a lot more than what it does. If you see it in person, it's way better than I can take a photograph of at the moment.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Like that's the main complaint with minis and just the way like paints and filters and stuff work. You know, like sometimes your camera just can't see the effort, and that's such a bummer because yeah, I could like watching that video, I could tell that you were putting in more work into one little guy than I think I've ever done, even on a big like competition model. You know, and so like if you've got that level of detail and you know dedication, I think you could do it. I honestly do.
And for me, it was like I gotta stand out. I gotta pick for that video. I gotta pick a squig that nobody else is gonna do. Because
That
you know, I
squig.
had Goober Town, you had Casey, eBay Miniature Rescues, and I was like, I gotta stand out so I can be amongst those guys in this collaboration, and ultimately generate traffic to the video. But mainly, I wanted people to recognize, hey, this brand new guy can paint. And
Yeah.
as selfish as that is or can be, it's I was just trying to prove that, hey, hi, I exist.
Well, it
Which
certainly impressed me, man. Like I sat back, and that like that's been like the fun thing of being part of this group is that like I managed to like I fly on the wall things. I'm definitely I'm not a follower. I'm not a group participator. I've never been. I've always liked to see watch things from the side, see how people interact, see if it's something that I want to be a part of before, because I've jumped into groups and then like at the end of it I've been like I hate everyone here. And so and instead of like having that happen, I always like to sit back, and I tend to find that like gives me a really cool picture of who is there. And like I haven't had a single person be like, oh, I just cannot stand this person in that group. And everybody is doing like, even when they're doing the quote unquote same things, they are coming at it from their own angles, and they have their own voice. And that is the stuff that like I'm like blown away by, because when I started it, I was copying, like I wrote scripts trying to copy Uncle Adam from Tabletop Minions. Like I wrote 3 scripts and tried filming them and hated them and scrapped the videos. I was like, I hate doing this. I tried doing hobby videos, and I was basically like copying like Next Level Painting, and I was like, I hate doing this. I suck at this. And so it's cool seeing that you guys are all working on similar projects, but like being dramatically different. Like the content is different, and the end results are very different too. It's really like inspiring.
Yeah, so it's like I've been told multiple times, like, man, just do what this guy's doing, or try this a little bit, and it's like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. It to me, if I ended up watching my video later, I would hate it. Yeah, so unfortunately, my intro kind of ended up, and this was accidentally, but it's similar to what Maniacs is with how like his setup goes, and then my outro with the whole fight the Grey Warlord, paint the minis in the sort of death metalish voice. I was like, gosh, one of these days this dude's gonna hit me up and be like, hey man, what are you doing? But if you're watching this, Maniac, I didn't mean to do that, and I will adjust it. But I was just putting stuff together and didn't realize it.
Yeah, well, there's definite like sense of like instant inspiration that you see in like your stuff. You're like, I'm doing this, and like I don't think anybody would read it as you directly copying anybody else's stuff. I've never thought that, but I think that it's just kind of like part of this environment is that we're all influenced by each other. And I'm sure that Scott and John are influenced by other people that they watch, and as they keep on creating content and changing, the videos change. And I think that that's just kind of how YouTube is. And the fact that we all love metal, like that's the weird thing. I don't think I've ever met per capita more metalheads, like outside of like being at a metal concert. It's really
Yeah,
weird.
I wondered the same thing, like, because maybe there's a few that don't per se like metal ain't their main, but they're like, oh yeah, I listen to a little metal. It's like, why in the frig is every miniature painter just like, get the paint on it. Let's go to a mosh.
Extreme painting.
Finish that wash. We got a mosh. You know. And hey, if there's ever a concert anywhere near, guys, hit me up, man. I'll try to get out there. I'll take a day off work or something. We'll go throw down and maybe paint some miniatures in the hotel room. I don't care.
That's awesome. Yeah, I used to be like such a metalhead. Back in high school, I had a Metallica T-shirt for every day of the week, and and I was just like hardcore punk and metal and all that
That
stuff.
was super punk.
Yeah, it's there's this Brian Posehn joke where he said that back when I was young it was metal every day, and now that I'm 35, I think I'm going to give it a couple more years. And it was just like I think I'm about done. And now that I'm 36, yeah, I hit that point where I'm like, mm, I can't metal the way I used to.
At least you still got hair, bro. I'm bald. I can't headbang. I can't nothing. My beautiful hair. It's
Oh, so
gone.
sorry. Yeah. I started before this whole thing. I started growing my hair out because I noticed it was starting to recede, and I was like, oh yeah, let's do one more run at the long hair before I end up
Yeah,
doing
enjoy
the
it while you can.
exactly. Do the Devin Townsend skullet, and I'm not ready for that yet. But I'll get it while it's full, and then once I go past like a 6 head, like right now I'm at about a 5 head. If I once I get about here, I'll be like, okay, time to go short.
Yeah, mine's pretty rough. If I let the sides grow out, I look like Mr. Burns for about a week. And if I let it go any further, I can do like the whole Wolverine side fucking hair, like wah.
That's actually kind of cool though. If you can pull that off, you might have found something.
The world's skinniest Wolverine.
So how did you get into Dungeons and Dragons and nerd stuff? What did that start like, man?
I would have to say my father. We were a military family, moved around everywhere, but the one thing I can tie down to all of it is he always was into like electronics. So when the Apple II come out, he had to have it. And I just remember sitting there watching him play the old Dungeons and Dragons like 8-inch floppy disk games, sitting there drawing the maps out on these grid papers and just talking about how the first of all, if you've ever tried to play one of those, they're freaking hard.
They're extremely difficult, yes.
And I just all that stuff for whatever reason, and he'd be like, oh, I find this symbol on the wheel, and I'd be like, okay, gotta use the the decoder wheel or whatever it was at the time. And I just remember all that. And then as I started growing up, I just like, for whatever reason, really was into dragons, anything with like little monsters, and of course like Ninja Turtles and Hot Wheels cars. But for me, I always had to have like the monsters and the dragon stuff. And slowly over time, then I think it wasn't till like high school when I really got into it. But before high school, I just kind of dabbled. I re-downloaded the emulators and tried to play those D&D games. Played a lot of Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. But in high school, once I finally started getting out of my shell or whatever, some kids, we were part of the nerdy group, or I became part of the nerdy group, or whatever you want to call it, and sat down and started playing Vampire the Masquerade, and then Dungeons and Dragons, and the next thing you know, we're getting together every other day playing it, and it all clicked. It was like, man, I used to sit there and like I didn't really understand it, but I was doing this with my dad as a kid. He always talked about it, his friends talked about it, and just once I got the shaking dice, that was it.
Yeah.
This is over for me. My imagination and like my massive collection of nerd books, I was able to put that in word form, and another person across the table understood it and then had rules for it and how to make it happen. So it completely encapsulated me.
That's awesome. My first exposure to RPGs was like tabletop RPGs is I bought Vampire the Masquerade 3rd edition like, I don't even know why I bought it. Like, I think I was in like sophomore in high school or something. It was like the same time I got my driver's license and could finally start doing things that, like, and buying things that my parents didn't want me to buy. I bought, and I got this book, and I was like, this is supposed to be a game. Like, what is this? Like, and I never got a chance to actually play Vampire, but I used it in my creative writing classes to help develop characters, because what the storyteller, I think that's what it's called, the storyteller system, was like basically built to tell a story. And so Vampire, while I didn't know it, became something that helped me create the worlds that I did, even though I never played the game. But I never got a chance to actually play Dungeons and Dragons until like a year ago. Like, seriously, it took me forever, because I never found a group that I could actually do it. Like, again, like, that lone wolf thing really sucks. It puts me in like a huge disadvantage for group activities like that.
Yeah, that I'm lucky enough to have a small little group that I get involved in, and I have a D20 game that I'm running on my Discord server that, like, crazy enough, I was part of this the Long Island tabletop convention. They went virtual, and took part in a game in there with one of their DMs, and dude had so much fun, and we all had so much fun. He's like, "Hey, how can we keep doing this?" And I was like, "I could host it on my Discord server if there's no other way." And so we've just been doing that every other Sunday, playing virtually, rolling the dice at the table, and just having a hilarious time with to me, strangers. I don't even think I remember all their first names yet, but sorry, guys.
Dude, I think that is the way it goes in the modern age, and I don't think anybody holds it against you for not remembering names, especially since, like, I've given up pseudonyms. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to keep track of who knows who I am, and I'm tired of being like private, because at the end of the day, people will figure out who I am anyway. So like I'm just gonna be Heath Aldrich, and that's just it. And people are gonna figure out who I am. And if you like me, I hope you continue like supporting my business and stuff. But also, like, this is who I am, and I
Yeah,
want people to accept me for me, instead of hiding behind, stage names and things like that.
yeah, like, that's why right away I was in most of my videos. I don't think I ever claimed to just be Miniocalypse. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Jamie from Miniocalypse,"
Mhm.
and my mother-in-law was just talking to me over Mother's Day, like, about all this, like, "Aren't you worried? Like, people are gonna figure out who you are?" And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, like, everybody knows who I am. If they don't, like, if the government wants me, it's
They
you,
know,
you
yeah.
can't hide anymore, people. If you don't think that the power isn't out there to be found, then you're insane, because if they, just don't do anything wrong, and they'll never get
Right.
to use it.
Right, right. Well, that's the real trick. Like, I'm not out starting flame wars. It'd be one thing if I was like jumping into forums and stuff and being like, "Yeah, well, I think the Neo Geo sucks. Like, come
I'm
fight me."
I'm waiting for it, because I don't know, probably like 5, 6 years ago, I did a little bit of trolling on, like, I don't know about trolling, but I defended my points in comments, for like videos of things I was watching, and I'm not sure if that'll ever resurface, but someday somebody might look at Miniocalypse Jamie here. He's cussed this guy out, about yeah, fuck it, save the turtles and this and that. I was like, well, whatever. I felt opinionated about that, so
Yeah, at the time, this is the
it
way I
was what it
felt.
was.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully, I think, as younger generations seem to be understanding the internet persona a lot differently. Hopefully that will also get forgiveness. Like, hopefully forgiveness will be forgiveness and compassion, where who you were 5 years ago doesn't equate who you are now. Because all those things are stepping stones to further development of like who we are as humans. And I'm I feel good about the future. I think that is something that's going to be there, but it is for some people, like that, it's like a hard light switch. It's just like, nope, turned it off, and I'm never gonna go back. And I don't particularly like that point of view, even though I have done it. I am totally responsible for it in my past. Like I'm hoping that forgiveness is something that we can get to, so the conversations can be more, um, important and relevant over time.
Yeah, like me, I like to basically live life with no regrets. Like, yeah, everybody has a past, but it's all about what you do with each day. You have the day in front of you, and that's literally the only time frame you have to make a change. You can't change the past, and you don't know the future. So, like, this very seconds is all that you're in control of,
Yeah.
until you're not here anymore. So, you live, you learn. I try not to regret nothing. Mistakes were made, things, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, I still got to make it till tomorrow. I still
Yeah.
got to figure out how to be better. You can't be a better person if you're not prepared to be a better person yourself. So I think, like getting in touch with yourself and spirituality or anything like that is key to being able to progress forward through each and every second that you have.
Yeah. Well, and that's something, when you bring up the spirituality thing, that's something that really struck me about your videos that you did. It's like, and I think it was at the end of the bat squig video, you did like a prayer. You just straight up, like, unapologetically, I'm doing a prayer right now. And you don't do it at the end of every video, but I was like touched and moved. And, I told you on Twitch the other day, like, I'm an atheist. I don't really subscribe to any of that stuff, but seeing you do that, unapologetically, this is who I am, unafraid, like it was moving, and was something that, like, this to me is what spirituality should be. And it was very positive. I think it was like right before you got married, so like everything in your life was like, amplified, and it just it hit me really really hard. And I just was like, if I ever get a chance to talk to him, like, I'm gonna thank him for that, because you know so many of us hide behind it, and don't want to tackle these things, and don't want to. We just don't want to be judged by people for stuff that's so personal, and especially in such a public forum. And to see you do that, I was just like, this guy's gonna go places. People are gonna respond to this sort of positivity in a way that nobody else is doing it. And while you might be campy and fun and play games everywhere else, when you got serious and you got real, it was impactful. And that was a really cool thing. So, like, how do you feel about that being part of your videos, and like where did that come from?
Um, I just wanted to do it, to be honest. For me,
I love that answer, by the way. I just wanted to do it. That's like the perfect answer.
I had, yeah, I asked a few people, probably more than maybe 10 people or so, and to be honest, everybody was like, "No, man, you shouldn't do that. Like, if you mention religion on YouTube, you're gonna lose half your followers, this, that, and the other." So in my head, I'm just like, I'm not a Bible thumper, or I don't go preaching to anybody. You can do what you want, man. You live your own life. Like, this
Sure.
is just what I've found to get through my days. And like I touched on in that Twitch conversation, that it's a way for me to communicate with the universe. Do I know for sure if it's the God? I call him the big guy, and I hope that whatever it is, in whatever forms, I believe there is a higher power. Hopefully I'm doing some respect. If not, I'm gonna find out eventually. But yeah, I just wanted to do that, and it was something I wanted to start doing. In some of my videos, everything's just been so rushed, and that's really no excuse to not pray. But I just, I still toss up some prayers and words and all kinds of whatnots to up there. But as far as what everyone had to say, and telling me no, you shouldn't do it, I was just like, it's what I want to do. I really feel like, for whatever reason, me being able to put out some videos to get some followers and all of that, like, was something I never thought would happen. So I was just paying my respects, and wanted everybody out there watching to know that, like, hey, if you're watching my videos, like, I don't care who you are or what you're doing. I love you. You can make it to the next day. You know, like, I just want people to feel like if they thought I was a complete stranger, they could hit me up like, hey man, I'm having a rough day, or hey, thanks for the prayer, like, and it's not like I'm doing it for the, oh well, you're welcomes. It's just I'm human too, and just felt like doing it.
That is so cool, man, because yeah, I don't know, it's weird, as we continue to, as our country becomes more, politically and religiously divided, it finds that like people like either are like hiding behind their religion as the thing that is their armor to protect them from everybody else, but they aren't giving it away. It's a weapon, it's a tool. It isn't this altruistic nature. And when I saw you doing it, I didn't see that. That wasn't part of the equation. That was really cool. And I hope people will go back and watch it, and see it, because it does just kind of come out of left field, and it was like this is who I am, and it's like I said, it was just like really impactful, because yeah, I don't like I don't like people hiding, having to hide those parts of who they are. And like, whether you are into like new age spirituality or like old school Catholicism, or Toltec
Yeah.
mysticism, like I want you to be able to live that life, because those are the things that actually like allow us to be humans to each other, and to see the other person as, instead of an adversary, being an atheist, and also like I also subscribe to like the Satanic Temple stuff, because they are really big into religious freedoms. It's like all of us or none of us, and I get really impassioned by the fact that like I want it to be all of us. If like we can't be a monotheistic society, and part of that is being able to be comfortable and all right with other people's spirituality. And so that, like I said, it impacted me, because I didn't see you as an enemy. I saw you as a friend. I saw you as somebody who's exposing part of their heart, in a really vulnerable way, because I haven't had YouTube hate, but I know people who have had YouTube hate, like musicians. There's this one guy, and he's great. He's so nice. And literally, there is somebody that every time he posts a video, they have 4 different accounts. They give him 4 thumbs down and 4 different comments about how bad he sucks. And I'm just like, this is awful. This is so brutal. And so like I was really nervous about doing anything that would expose who I am, on YouTube, just for that reason, especially back in the day. But like seeing you do stuff
Right.
like
Never know
that.
when a pissed off ex is gonna be like, ah!
Right. But like there's something that like I'm definitely following your lead on this one, because like I don't feel alone anymore in the actual, like we are spiritual beings, just trying to make it through the day, and these are things that can be celebrated and can be part of the hobby, and can be part of this without being divisive, and something where somebody's gonna criticize you for, and like that's
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah. For me, it's just like I don't have a label. I don't choose to follow labels. Like, maybe it's through my perception of growing up, like having the Bible and people talk about religion this, religion that, why it clicked with me. But like, to be perfectly honest, like, I wear this cross here that I traded noodles for while I sat in jail. So the day that happened, for me, and then continuing after, I just there was stuff that went on that I couldn't, I'm a pretty far out there kind of guy. I couldn't find any logical explanation for it, and I'm not going to get into any of these like tragic stories and whatnot, but so like I was saying, Twitch to me it felt like it had to be some type of divine intervention or something, just like basically letting me know like, hey, uh start figuring things out, or you're never going to be who you want to be. You're never going to be comfortable with yourself, and to me that is what I would call hell. Like if when you wake up every day and you don't love yourself and you're not happy, and all you can do is blame you, that's a miserable day.
Yeah,
So
yeah, totally. That is personal hell, like like through and through. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that like the mental health aspect of life is actually the closest thing probably any of us will actually really experience to hell, like because nobody knows what the afterlife is, and I don't subscribe to the idea of eternal torment. Like I actually think that it's kind of more like if there is a consciousness after life, it is like vast, and like it's like going out into outer space, which is kind of a terrifying idea when you think about just being out there in the stars. Like I don't
right.
know if there's anybody else there, and so like for me, like I try to live every day as like I've got to be the best version of me every day now. Like I have to. I can
Right.
no longer wallow in it. Like that is hell.
So, yeah, like what you were just touching on, like as much as you have all these different religions and things and whatnot, it's not like I still don't have my own opinions. Like, yeah, I believe in aliens. Where's that gonna land me? And like,
Right.
life after death. Like, uh, if I could explain a little bit of a weird story, like me, I have my own, uh, I guess my own idea of it, because like there's been at least two occasions where like I can for sure say, like, I guess can't for sure say because I don't know for sure, but one day I was driving with a bunch of buddies in the car, back in right out of high school. We're just being hooligans, and I'm swerving in people's yards, and I'm sorry, people, for your yards. And for whatever reason, me and my brother got in a fight about the radio, and I'm like, whatever. And I'm staring at the radio, and then when I look up, the last memory I had was looking at the passenger of this person in a minivan. So to me, it was like there was no way. There was no way that I avoided that accident. And then I remember just jerking the wheel, and then like literally, everyone in the car didn't talk about it for a few days, because then the next thing after jerking the wheel, I just remember driving straight, and it was just like as if there was a reset, and everyone felt weird, and individually, slowly, like my brother mentioned it, and then his buddy in the back seat, like a couple days later, like without communicating, was like, "Hey man, did you feel really weird about that day?" And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't know how to talk about it or explain it, but like I feel like we for sure crashed and died." And it was just like, and boop, there goes a whatever, and you only get so many of those or whatever, maybe. But I was young then too, and like, so who knows? But to me, that's what happened. Like, and I'll always have that experience. So it's like, as much as I follow things and try to find some grounding, I still struggle with the questions. And to me, I
Sure.
feel like the questions are okay, and to others are like, you can't question it. I guess to each his own.
No, dude, I have experienced that myself multiple times. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I always thought that I was on the cusp of a veil of like another version of me, whether that is, like
That's a huge phenomenon, like from the age of 1 to like 3, and then it fades around 7, that most children like recall a past life.
sure. Well, and it feels like, the kids don't have filters like at all. They have
No.
nothing built to help them understand the world, and they are learning that. Um, you know, back when I used to do a lot of hallucinogens and drugs and shit like that, it was always what I was trying to do was
The
remove it.
good old days.
The good old days, yeah, yeah. That I was trying to remove those filters so I could get close to that feeling again. Because being a child that would hear your voice echo from someplace else, like that's like beginner schizophrenic stuff. But like I was only hearing that, like every so often, and so like I figured that like maybe I was probably just like really close to like a parallel dimension at that point of me. And then the idea of like maybe every decision that I make that could have gone wrong, maybe in that other dimension it did. And then I started living with the guilt that literally everything I did ended up with me dead or somebody else dead in a different world. And like that's a devastating place to be
Right,
in
some butterfly effect stuff.
right, yeah. And you're just like and then when I got out of high school and started partying hard and doing drugs, I started going back to this idea of like maybe this is a thing. And like I don't know if it is, but I've had moments of like that too, where you're just like something happened and I walked over my own grave and I know it. And that that is such an unbelievable feeling and impossibly difficult to explain to somebody who hasn't already
Oh
felt
yeah.
that.
It challenges everything basically. Like like for instance, how you and the Sam Lens were talking about aliens and whatnot, and I was like, man, I'm 100% for this because it's like uh, I've seen stuff with my own eyes and is unexplainable. I have no explanation for it, but I did see it and had a person next to me who saw it, and there was, so it's like, what does that do for me? And say a religion like, can you believe in aliens and still believe in God? Who knows if that's right or wrong? But that's what I'm doing. I think that stuff better start getting along because who knows what's gonna happen.
I think you can do both. I don't think there's any reason if the idea of God created the heavens and the earth, that means he created everything else too, which means he created the aliens, which means that they
Right.
can totally fit into that world. Just because like this book from 2000 years ago didn't know how to uh talk about other planets because they
It
didn't have the
does in a way
scientific.
actually. Like it does mention other beings and creatures, and I believe it does even use the term alien. I'm not sure in what versions. I've never read like the whole thing all the way through because, like I said before, it's a hell of a read. It's kind of hard to get through, but
It's
yeah,
brutal.
that's probably something I should do. But to me, I feel like that's just gonna alter my perceptions of how I see the universe and things, and like maybe that's wrong of me, but it's what I'm doing, people, and you know, to be able to wake up and find some sort of grounding and get through my days because I have some tough ones, and there's nothing I can do about that. But
Sure.
stuff like that helps, and but I still want to figure out like who we all are, where we all come from, what's the truth. Everybody wants the truth, Agent Mulder wanted the truth. It's out there.
It's out there. The older I get, while I do want to know if aliens exist, I am finding myself being less romantic about the ideas, mainly because I'm like, man, if we can't even get along here with the people that we're at, like how we ever expect to impress an alien? Like what are we gonna
Right.
have to do that?
They're wanting to send people to Mars, and it's like, what do you think's gonna happen? You send a bunch of humans to Mars. Where, like, have you ever seen what happens when you put like 20 people in one room for a year? Nothing good.
Nothing good. Yeah, they go a little crazy.
But let's do it anyways. Hell with it.
I love the idea of it. I love it, like I'm such a romantic when it comes to that stuff, but I've also just like when the realistic part of myself comes out, I'm like, what are we doing? Like really, what are we doing? Like Mars, like we couldn't move a colony to Mars. We do not have the ability to transport large things there safely. Until like we get like some like cold fusion engine or something that is lightweight. Like a spaceship, all of the weight of a spaceship to get it into orbit is not the actual spaceship. It's the fuel that it takes to get it off the
Yeah,
Earth.
that's like first we would have to like I don't know, build something on like say the moon and then start launching from there. That would increase our capabilities like so much, but but nobody ever talks about the moon for whatever reason or whatever. Nobody wants to go there anymore. Like, what's going on with the moon, guys?
Right.
Ask yourselves, because it's like it. You're always staring at the same portion of it. It never changes. You don't get to see the other side of it. Like no pictures are rarely ever like taken of it and things like what's really happening up there. But that's a whole different subject.
Did you see when NASA crashed a missile into the moon to see what it's made out of? They wanted to
Yeah,
have
and it
like
was supposedly like rang.
yeah, and they wanted to get that plume of dust and ice and stuff so they could get a good readout of what it's made out of. I remember watching that and I was like, it's so sad that like the most exciting thing that's happened to the moon in all these years is that we just launched a missile at it to see what happens.
Right, it just controls like the lunar
Tides and
tides and
everything.
all.
Yeah.
Let's just pop one off at it real quick.
Did you ever watch the Mister Show at all?
No clue with that. I don't watch a lot of anything really other than lately YouTube videos and like so. Explain.
There is it's an old HBO sketch comedy show, and they had this one thing where they they wanted to blow up the moon. They're like, well, we've done everything we can do on it, so there's no reason to have it, so let's blow it up. And then like Sarah Silverman, like a really young Sarah Silverman, is like protesting. She's like, we're Earthlings, let's blow up Earth things. And so like everything was like, well, like let's blow it up. We got to find something to blow up, and when I saw them launch the missile into or crash the rocket into the moon, I was like, that's it, we're blowing up the moon. This is happening.
Right, well, I mean, what happens when there's another crazy world leader who's like, you know what, I don't have to attack anyone. I'll just shoot something at the moon, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh no,
Right. I mean,
some
that
some
would be
some real
insane,
like Doctor Evil stuff. Where's my kitty?
right? Oh man. Well, so YouTube for you, like get back to the topic at hand. Like YouTube is like a really hard place to cut through the noise, I'm finding. And while it seems to be that there is a path there for victory, YouTube doesn't want you to get it. It feels like they have pulled that like like 4,000 hours of combined viewing in a year is an absurd. Like when I start thinking about that, I'm like, yeah, it can happen, but like nobody watches these videos for more than like 15 minutes. That's why I'm doing a
Right.
podcast version so people can actually hear them, because there's good stories, there's great content, and especially once people get like cozy, like what do you find about like the viewership aspect of YouTube, and do you have any insight into that aspect, and do you think that there's anything that we can do to make things cut out more?
Uh, for me, I'm banking on just being genuine, and I know that that's going to build a lot more slowly because let's just be honest, YouTube is a business.
Yeah.
They're in it to make money, so they want you doing certain things. They want you to hire somebody, or pay Google themselves to do your analytics, to find the key. They want you to do the keywords, the titles. They want you to follow the steps for them to place you higher. They want you to do what they want you to do to get you ranked and this and that. And sure, people get lucky and they wake up one day and boom, they're just viral and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, I think all of us out there that are just being genuine, and we're probably not going to climb nowhere near as fast or make it within a few years, but we have the following of people that actually like what we're doing. They're not just like clicking on it because it's a fad, or because, uh I know a lot of kids that all they do is sit there and watch YouTube videos, and then their buddy or their friend will come over and be like, "Oh, what's this? Oh, I gotta subscribe because you watch it," and that guy maybe never gets watched again, or this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, I know like my 283 subscribers, I think, and I believe, are 283 people that genuinely like whatever goofiness I've got going on, and how eventually it'll be a little more structured. But I don't plan on like changing my personality or much. Like there's a few things that I'm gonna be trying to dial in, but as corny and weird as I am, that's just who I am, people. And I've had like one comment like, "Oh, you're like this," and then all of a sudden you're like that, and it's so strange. It's like, well, have you met me in real life? Because that's what you're getting. Like I'm a weird dude. I'm a real
Yeah.
weird dude.
Oh, I feel you there. I feel you there. It's like it's so funny because like we put all these time into these videos, and we
It's a
it's like
lot of work, more than
it's
I thought.
yeah, I definitely underestimated what it would take to actually film like hobby videos. And if I figured out a way to streamline it, I would probably do more of them. But I'm at the point now where like I said, I like focusing on like one thing. Like if I'm painting, I'm painting. I'm not thinking about the video I'm trying to make. And so like I'm taking hundreds of hours of footage and being like, how do I edit a video out of this that's worth watching? That's a ridiculous thing to do.
Editing. Oh my goodness. The one thing out of all of it, if I could just find a way to have things edit themselves, or maybe get the wife to edit. But it's like, how do you trust somebody else to edit and still have your vision of what is going on? Like, there's no
Right?
two same people. But if it wasn't for the editing, and then like you're right, like while I'm painting, I have to concentrate on like, oh crap, is this in focus? Oh man, are my hands clean? Oh, I forgot to trim my nails. Oh, then
Dude,
for me,
being
like,
a welder, that stuff doesn't come off, man. Like all of that, like this, like orange cleaner can only go so far, man.
I did find one thing that works pretty good. So any of you people out there that have like a really tough time getting the grime off your hands, there's like this facial clay for your face. It's a really fine clay. Man, just use that. It seems to scrub the stuff out all
Nice.
pretty good. Better than the goo gons and whatnot. But yeah, like my biggest fear, and I did it once or twice already, but thankfully it wasn't a huge. Nobody noticed, or it's not noticeable. But like, I have dentures, and like I'm
Mm.
afraid one day I'm gonna forget to put them in, and I'm gonna record like some awesome footage and be all of a sudden looking like hillbilly farmer John, because I do live in the middle of nowhere. I am a bit of a Billy, but or a redneck or whatever. But it just is what it is. I'm from Texas. What do you want, people?
Right. I always joke that I grew up out in rural Oregon, and everybody's like, "Oh, out there with all the hillbillies." It's like we prefer to be called hill folk. Like, oh, that's it's always interesting to like wonder like what's going to be the thing that you forget. It's like it's a lot of stress, and that's why I
Yeah,
think I prefer like this more candid thing, because people will either respond to it or they won't, and
I'll
I
be
don't have
like
to like fight.
straight up honest. It for a minute with like, even though it was like doing all the multiple things, is it like helped me for whatever reason. It did start building up a lot of stress, and like less than like 2 weeks ago, or even maybe 5 days ago or so, or less, I was seriously considering just like not doing it anymore. Like, just after this next thing, just being done with YouTube. But I started this. I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna stay strong. And to be fair and 100% honest with you, man, if it like wasn't for your live streams, because at the moment they were what I was watching and you communicating back and watching you paint, like for whatever reason, that remotivated me to sit back down and start painting things, and also reminded me that like I can do one thing, like I can focus my time on something for the YouTube, but I can also paint something for myself as well. Like I don't
Yeah.
have to be filming everything. If one video comes out a month, then so be it. And
Yeah.
until things are rolling, that's how I'm handling it from now on. I'm just chilling. I'll film when I want to film. I'll edit when I want to edit. I'll try to take, place in collaborations and things, but I'm not going to stress myself about it anymore and turn this into a job until I need it to be that way. Until I'm prepared for success, I don't need to be striving to be successful.
Yeah, dude, I think that that's really a good outlook on it, because yeah, I started realizing that really quickly, that I was doing the exact opposite of what I set out to do, you know? Like I wanted to have YouTube to motivate me to paint more things, and I was spending more time editing and sifting through footage than I was painting things. And I'm an extrovert. I like to talk to people. I need a community. And with the coronavirus, shutting everything down, I lost my community, and I didn't understand what that meant to me emotionally for about a couple weeks after it. I just for like 2 weeks I slept a lot. Like I tried setting up for loans for my small business, and then I took naps and stayed up to like 4 in the morning, and just like kind of like existential dreaded myself. And I realize now that like I've done I've done more in the last 6 weeks than I'd probably done in a while, and none of it is what I expected it to be. And I've made new friends now that I wouldn't have done if I would have closed myself off to these experiences. And so I feel really fortunate that like I also had that kind of breakthrough of like, I don't need to do this the way that it does. I would love to have interviews every single week, and I will probably be able to do that for forever. But I don't need to kill myself to make it happen. I don't need to stress it. And that's once I realized that, like this YouTube thing became a lot more fun. And I was like, oh, cool. Like I can chill out. I don't need to kill myself.
Yeah, same with me. Like now that I'm just, I guess I had to make myself okay with slowing down because for whatever reason, like I was like, I gotta do it. If I don't do it, if I don't do it, and then it was just like this is building up negativity inside me, even though it's something I want to be doing. The
Yeah.
fact that I know that I'm just starting out and I can't tackle it all, I had to let that hit me in the face to realize like, hey, take it easy, man. Otherwise, what happens if, say, all of a sudden one day one of my videos did go viral and I woke up and I have like 20,000 subscribers in there, and these 20,000 people want the same thing from me, and it's like, I don't know how I did that, and I wouldn't know. So I'm just slowing it down, and whether I become successful at it, whether like for whatever reason I didn't get in this to be successful or like make my day job YouTube. Would it be
Yeah.
cool? Yeah, it'd be cool as all get out, but I just wanted to document how I started filming and YouTubing with just a phone and painting with dollar store miniatures and working my way up. And maybe people will like that and maybe they won't. If not, like, hey, I can weld, I can roof, I can build your house, I can go make your basement, I can fix your car. I got plenty of other things I can do, but this is what I chose to do with my free time.
Yeah.
And I have to remember that that is just that. Like, I am using my free time to quote unquote sell myself. So,
Dude, that's such a healthy way to look at it, and I'm glad that you came there, because like I said, I really love watching your videos, and I look forward to getting your process more like refined and understanding your videos more, so that they can continue like reaching more people, because I think that's gonna be the thing that this YouTube group has really taught me, is that I need to make sure that I take time to, like soak in the moment and understand, learn the lessons from what just happened, so that way I'm either not making the same mistakes or I'm like actually growing as an artist here. And so I'm glad that you're at that point. um we are about at that time. So do you have anything that you want to say to your viewers or new potential viewers about your channel and anything like that?
Sure. Anybody watching this, like, I would appreciate it. You just checked me out. I'm not gonna say subscribe, like, and comment like I normally
But
would,
they
but
should subscribe, like, and comment, like.
it would help immensely. But mainly is like help me with some feedback. Let me know what you as a viewer like or don't like, because I'm not getting any of that from anybody really, and that's really what's making the process hard. Like, I'm tired of traveling in the dark, but
Sure.
other than that, I'm just a new guy. I'm trying to make it on YouTube if possible. I'm painting what I can paint, and I I thank you, Heath, for this. And like when I hit you up for this, I didn't think that you'd even respond to me. I was like, man, this guy, I know he was painting for Golden Demon. Like, he's so above me, and
Dude,
I'm quickly finding out that we're all just people, like, man.
dude, we walk on the same ground. We all bleed the same color blood, unless we're reptilians, but we won't get into that. So, like,
It would need another hour for that.
right? But I think that we're all in this together, and that's the cool thing about this YouTube brain trust. And I hope to talk to more people from the group too, because I'd love to hear other people's experience with it. And it's interesting, because we have people like Casey and Brent who are like, Casey does a video a week, regardless if it's like a big heavy duty and time investment. He will make it happen. And Goobertown Hobbies does one whenever he feels like it, and people seem to respond totally fine with that. Like, I don't think that there is a like a pattern that you have to do. And if weekly stuff is too hard to hit, and where you're feeling good about the content, like, I don't think there's any reason not to to pull back. Like, I think that is perfectly fine. All of our attention spans are so short anyway that I don't think anybody would actually like not come back. Like, once you see it pop up in the stream, they'll be like, oh yeah, cool, more video, more content for me to look at. Like, I don't think there's any negative to that, unless if that is your life, like, then maybe there's a negative, because you are losing ad revenue. But at that point, you're living it's a whole different ball game. So, like, I think
Yeah.
while we're at this like ground level, it's best to find the character, develop the process, and work in that direction, instead of trying to copy everybody else's like release schedule and efforts. Like, man, I would love, like, I've always wanted to do a video about like just painting in grayscale, where you're not doing like zenithal, but like you are understanding like the value painting. And it is like one of the most boring subjects when you think about it, but I'm like, so one
Yeah.
of these days I'll
Yeah.
do
I'd
this.
be interested in it, because it's like that's kind of like what I'm doing right now, painting from white to black and grayscale.
It's a cool thing, man. And especially when you are taking the time to experiment with these things that maybe you wouldn't do any other time. I think that's really important, and important to the growth of a channel. So, like, I'm excited to see the future content that you release.
I'm hoping to nail down a few more things and just get it a little more consecutive, I guess. Like, I just gotta find my own pattern, like,
Sure.
and when I'm sitting back and chatting, and then when I'm painting. But I stress myself out with so much about it, like, oh, does my paint style stand out, this, that, and the other. And it's like, you know what? That'll all figure itself out. It'll all figure itself out. Just do what you're doing.
It will.
Maintain your composure. Make sure that you're aware that you are being viewed by the public, and just do your thing.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, I think you're on the right path, and I really appreciate you taking the time today to talk with me. Make sure you check out Jamie's channel, Miniocalypse, on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. And I appreciate you sitting down and being who you are with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Like, thanks a ton. And yeah, man, just like always, bro, fight the Great War, man.
Fight the Great
Catch those
War.
minis.
That's right, man. All right, dude. Have a nice rest of your day.
You too, man. I'm gonna open up this printer and head out to work.
Do it. Do it.
Right on, brother. Love you, man. Take it
All right.
easy.
Thanks, bud.
Yep, yep.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement. I so appreciate your support. If you want to see more hobby content, hop on over to twitch.tv/Heath Aldrich to see all of your fun hobby content streaming whenever I get a free chance. If you like listening to these episodes in more of a podcast form, I should be on all of your favorite podcasting apps. Make sure that you like and subscribe to me there. If you can, leave me a 5-star review. I'd really appreciate it. Have a nice rest of your day, and we'll be talking to you soon.